All right, guys. So today we'll start our prep on Kansas City. We'll work today through Saturday in terms of prep for Kansas City. We fly out there Sunday. We'll work today on the install for early downs and third down. Tomorrow we'll be out in the field, more of a padded practice, reviewing all the early down, third downs. Friday we'll get more into our red area situational practice. And Saturday we'll kind of have a recap on the week right here before we head out to Kansas City on Sunday. Look, this team poses a number of threats right there. They're explosive offensively. I mean, they've got a ton of weapons. You can start naming them. It's going to take a long time, longer than we have in this press right here. But this is an explosive offense. They can score on any play from anywhere on the field. Obviously, one of the best quarterbacks. At this point, in a long duration of the game, I think obviously when he's done, he'll go down a lot longer than that. Defensively, I think Spags does a great job in terms of mixing up the pressures and staying after your skill players, staying after your quarterbacks, really getting pressure on you. He has a lot of multiples. He's not afraid to mix up at any point in the game. And then Tobe does a great job on special teams in terms of creating field position with their return game. They're very, very talented. From Coach Reed on down, they're very well coached, very situationally prepared, and very capable in all three phases. So that being said, I'll open any questions you guys have.
You spoke with Jabril since the news of his season-ending injury, and how tough is it to see an emotional leader like that go down in that way?
Yes, I have spoken to him several times. He was in our squad meeting this morning with us as well. Look, it's really tough for a guy like Jabril to put so much, and I don't want to speak for him, I'm just speaking from my opinion of him. It's really tough for having a guy like that to put so much into the team, puts the team first, does everything you ask him to do to the best of his ability, brings so much juice to the team, is a productive player on the field, wears so many hats for you as a team, and it's always whatever you need, coach, here I go. And for this to end his season, that's something you don't want to see for any player. It's tough seeing it for Pep. It really is. And there's some other things, in a business standpoint too, is look, this guy's in a contract year. It's something I've talked to him about directly. It's a guy that I value a lot in this program. I'd love to have this guy going forward. I've told him that directly. He's been a very good leader for us. You can talk about him being local, but the Giants mean something to him. I think that's very important. He's a guy that loves football. He loves this organization. He loves this area. Those are things we talk about building as, cornerstones and pillars for this program. And he's a very important part of our program.
You had him break down the team after the win. He was already hurt there. What, is that normal? Is that his role, or why?
We varied a lot, but I would say last week he broke the team down several times, and Pep did a great job practicing last week. He really did. Pep's a guy that when you come in on Wednesdays, that he wears his heart on his sleeve. So he's moved on to the next game, but you can tell he hasn't gotten that taste out of his mouth till he gets to the next game. Pep came out last week. He did a great job practicing for us, really preparing. Brings a lot of juice and energy to practice. He really gets a lot of guys going with him. We've had him break it down, in the past number of times. Broke it down last week a couple times at practice. And to be honest with you, as we were breaking down team and talking to team, he came wandering out of the showers as it was anyway and joined us just in time. And it was a good opportunity to have him come in there and talk to the team. So, look, want to have Pep with us as much as we can. Obviously the trainers will have some say in that in terms of what's best for him in his recovery. If he can travel with us, he's definitely someone we want with us on the trip. If he's able to be on the sideline with the team, he's definitely someone down there as far as bringing leadership and experience.
How your injured playmakers doing? The four guys that, Tony?
Yeah, so I would say this, being a Monday night game gives a little more of a window of time. They all, not being a smart ass here, Jordan, they've all made progress. We're going to move them around today. Tomorrow we'll probably have a much better idea in terms of going into the game with it, in terms of what they're going to look like. I wouldn't say anything that happens today or tomorrow would rule them out or guarantee them at the game. But today should give us a little bit of an insight to it, and then really tomorrow in terms of how much they can do individually, how much they can do in some team periods, what are they able to do and get out there.
Is any one of them maybe further along than the other?
I think three different injuries, three different bodies. There's different timetables for all these guys. I'm not going to go ahead and just give this guy's further ahead. To be honest with you, with these injuries, sometimes it sounds like day by day different guys are at different points, and some days it sounds like one guy is further along than another guy. We ask for the trainers is just give us accurate information, let us know so we can plan accordingly.
Obviously, the three guys have been out, but Shep is another one who kind of added into that group off of Sunday. It looked like you guys did not, comparing the pregame workouts from the previous week with Slayton and I can't even remember who it was. Was it Shep? But you have that pregame workout with him. It looked like you guys could shut it down pretty quickly. Was it obvious that he was that further away from playing on Sunday?
It was at a point that he wasn't going to be able to go out there in the game, and that we felt good enough that he was going to go out there and stay. Shep's a tough dude. And I'm just telling you, if he had duct taped the leg back on, he'd have gone out there and done it. So we had to kind of help make the decision for him. because we know he's going to push through whatever it is. So, from a medical standpoint, the medical staff had to go ahead and have some insight and just making sure we put him in a good position, to maybe go forward for the rest of the season and be healthy.
So it was really more of a shut it down because it's not happening today versus something happened in the workout that may have shut it down.
Yeah, correct. We wanted to get him to that pregame workout and see if he had a chance to go. Shep's a guy that, with his experience, he prepares really well in meetings through either walkthroughs or just being in the meetings. He's a guy that can go out there and operate within a game. Ideally, you want everybody on the field for timing. There are different levels of guys based on experience, with both the players that they're going to be playing with on the field and just in general, where you have a little more flexibility of what do they do during the week, can they get to the game. Shep's a guy that with his experience and his experience specifically with Daniel, I'd say, as far as their timing and chemistry, you feel a little bit better about saying, okay, if we can get this guy to the game in certain weeks, we can get him up and back.
Is he in the same boat as the other guys? I mean, he's like on a different level.
I think it's a little bit different because he was closer to playing last week, but I wouldn't say it's too far removed. Paul, obviously, he didn't play in a game last week, so he'll be in the crew today, kind of, over there at the trainers, moving around and see how far out he is.
So when you go against an offense as explosive as this, obviously defensively, you're going to have to come up with a plan, but how does it affect you offensively? Do you feel like we have to go out and score a ton of points? You try and shorten the game? How do you approach going against a high-powered offense with your
Actually, yeah, there's different ways you can look at it. And I think you've got to find what best suits who you are as a team. There's that element of, do you try to play four corners basketball and just keep the ball out of their hands? Do you try to go out there and do everything you can to roll the dice, take shots, and just try to match points for points? We got to look internally in terms of what we think we are as a team, what our strengths are, and play to that. That goes into a lot of who's available, how we think the flow of the game can go. There's other external factors that play into that as well, and you have to understand where you're playing circumstantially. How much will weather play into the game? How does that affect how they're going to play the game as well as us? You have to have enough flexibility within your game plans you put together early in the week. As we get closer to the game, we can lean one way or another without really changing it that the players feel like it's too much. Does that make sense? Sometimes you get in the flow of the game, and the game goes completely different than what you planned all week. There's some games we've gotten into where we say, hey, look, we're going to play pure ball control and really just go ahead and move this thing methodically and try to keep their offense off the field. You get into the game, you start moving fast, you say, hey, you know what, we're pushing the envelope, let's go. There's other games you think, let's go warp speed. You get into the game and say, you know what, let's settle it on down. Their defense is reacting to our tempo. Let's just make sure we get in the best offensive play and make sure we execute the best way possible. Sometimes the flow of the game really dictates a lot of that.
Joe, when you look at Pat Mahomes, I know he's had, I think, 8 or 9 interceptions. Some of them have been balls off his receivers' hands, but does he look like he's pressing a little bit more this year to you?
He looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the world to me. I mean, this guy's, look, to be as athletic as he is, as just naturally instinctive as he is, and have that kind of arm strength to make all those throws, there's a reason this guy gets paid that much money, because there's not a lot of these guys walking the earth. This guy's extremely talented. He's got a lot of savvy and experience. I think he does a great job of going through the initial reads, finding the right receiver, and if something gets shut down, extending the play. And that's when those guys really go ahead and they turn it to a degree. I don't want to say backyard like they're just freelancing, but they've got how they handle their scramble situations, and they make some explosive plays down the field. So if you get out of your responsibility, you get undisciplined, they're going to find a way to make you pay.
What do you say to the idea that, I'm not going to say, they're still a good offense, right? But that the league has sort of caught up with them and they're at least found ways to kind of slow this offense down. You don't agree with that, huh?
I mean, how'd the league catch up to him? Is everyone as fast as Tyreek Hill, Hardman? Can everybody, cover the ball as deep as he can throw that thing? I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's a foolish narrative for us to buy into if we think this team isn't as good as they are. So this is a damn good team. They're very explosive. They're very dangerous. These guys are going to be playing their best ball Monday night. We're going out into a tough atmosphere. It's a lot of great energy out there. So we've got to get ready this week to play our best football.
Is there a, when you go into Arrowhead, usually, going to play the Chiefs, usually you figure they're going to be 6-1 or whatever they're going to be. Is there a wounded, animal kind of mentality that you think, not that you have to warn against, but you have to tell your players, look, they don't have, they're 3-4, but they're going to play their best game Monday because
nobody in this building is going to, in any way, shape, or form, underestimate this team. Period. This is a very good team. We know that. We know how dangerous and explosive they are. We always expect everybody's best game. So it's our job to make sure that we're not overconfident or underestimate anybody.
Joe, obviously you guys brought in Kenny to be kind of a transformative piece for this offense. So how frustrating has it been that there have been these things that have popped up and he hasn't been able to?
I'm really pleased with how Kenny's done everything we asked him to. He practices hard. He produces on the field. When he's dealing with injuries, He's great in the training room. He's great with the strength staff. Does everything he can to get back out here and play. He's a competitor. You know, I'm very pleased with Kenny and everything we've asked him to do. When he gets on the field, he's highly productive, and he's exactly what we thought we were getting.
Joe, can you gain anything the way you guys prepared to play in that atmosphere in New Orleans and put it to this week going to play in Arrowhead in terms of the noise and the things you did behind the scenes that really we weren't necessarily aware of?
There was obviously similarities in terms of the noise. I mean, this is a very, very loud place to play, so the communication is key. You've got to make sure that you simulate some things just through noise at practice. Now, we can turn the speakers all the way up. It doesn't simulate it, 100%. So we've got to do our best in how we prepare. There's a possibility of having some weather out there. We've got wind today. We got to use that to our advantage. We may have rain later in the week. We have to use that to our advantage. We're on a grass field. We have grass practice field. So we have to use all these things to our advantage in terms of how they come up throughout the week. Ultimately, we've got to take each day as it comes and understand the focus of the day. Today's really an assignment day. We got to make sure we come out here today and we're very crisp on the what that we have to accomplish, and then tomorrow really turn up the juice and put the pads on, really execute on the, how we have to do it.
Joe, with the COVID last year and the soft tissue injuries this year, and the change in the IR rules, has that been a godsend for coaches, being able to bring more people back?
I like the IR rules, the 3-week IR. I really do like that. I don't think you're going to have a lot of coaches complain about that. I think in this league, you want to see the players play, right? I think that's kind of the goal. Fans turn on the TV, sit in the stands. You want to see the best players play. So to me, the ability of having somebody not losing them for the year, I think that's just a plus for everyone involved. You don't want to see any of your players not play. I say this again, it's everybody you play, you want to play their best players. I know sometimes people look at different people's injuries reports and say, oh, hopefully this guy's out, this guy's out. That's not why you compete. That's not why you play the game. It's not why you coach the game. You want to go against somebody's best and see how you measure up. You want to go against someone and compete to the fullest. There's different views on some of the other things, like the 16-person practice squad. I think that's a longer conversation. But I think in terms of me personally, the 3-week IR or 3-week minimum IR, I think it's a positive move in terms of just having the ability to get our players back.
I think it's here to stay, Coach. That's here to stay.
I think there's a group of guys in the city right now that can answer that better than I can. I hope so. I think it's just better for players being available to play games.